My daughter insulted me in front of my family. When I confronted her, my wife took her side. I just smiled. The next day, I cut them both off financially, filed for divorce, and watched them lose their minds. Hey Reddit, buckle up and grab your popcorn. This one's way messier than you're thinking. Name's Martin, 42 male. 18 years of marriage. Raising a daughter. Working myself half to death as a plumber so they could have everything they wanted. All of it went up in flames at my parents' anniversary dinner. The whole family was there. Mom and dad celebrating 40 years together. My sister and her husband. A couple of cousins. My brother Ray. Everyone gathered around the table while my daughter Monica sat at the end with her eyes glued to her phone. 19 years old, sophomore at university, treating the family dinner like it was some kind of chore. My dad tried to bring her into the conversation, asked about that competitive business internship program she'd gotten into. She barely looked up from her screen. I mean, it's not like I want to end up like him, crawling under sinks and fixing toilets for the rest of my life. The table went silent. My mother's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. Ray's jaw tightened. That was straight up disrespect for everything I'd done for her. I set down my glass and told her to apologize. That's when Danielle's head snapped toward me. Don't talk to her like that. She's just expressing herself. She's being disrespectful. She's allowed to have opinions, you know. You're not going to bully her into thinking small just because you settled for less. My own wife, in front of my entire family, taking our daughter's side while she trashed the work that paid for their entire lifestyle. Ray started to say something. I shook my head slightly. Not worth it. My mother tried to salvage the moment with some comment about dessert. The conversation moved on, but something had snapped, and it wasn't getting fixed. The rest of dinner passed in a blur. I went through the motions, smiled when expected, made small talk, but inside I was doing math. Ray pulled me aside in the parking lot after. Wanted to say something to them about how out of line that was. I told him no. He studied my face with that look he gets when he knows I'm way too calm. Told me he'd be ready when I needed him. That night, lying in bed next to Danielle, I stared at the ceiling while she scrolled through her phone. She didn't apologize. Didn't even bring up what happened. Just talked about remodeling the kitchen. Wanted that marble countertop she'd shown me last month. I told her sure. She finally looked at me, asked if I was okay. Perfect. Something in my tone got her attention, but her phone buzzed and she went back to scrolling. 2 minutes later, she was asleep. I stayed awake for hours, just thinking. That prenup Danielle had fought me on 18 years ago was suddenly the best decision I'd ever made. Colin had insisted on it. Said any tradesman bringing assets into a marriage needed protection. Danielle complained for months. Made me feel guilty for even suggesting it. She'd signed it eventually, after her own lawyer reviewed it, after I'd agreed to pay for her car, after I'd put her name on the joint checking account for household expenses. I got up around 2 in the morning, went downstairs to my workshop, pulled out the fireproof safe where I kept important documents, found the prenup buried under insurance policies and equipment warranties, read through it by the light of my phone. Everything I'd owned before marriage stayed mine. The house, my business, my truck and tools, my retirement accounts, all protected. The only joint asset was that checking account for bills and groceries. I put the prenup back and locked the safe, sat in the dark. Something clicked. I finally saw what had been right in front of me this whole time. I thought about Danielle backing Monica without even blinking. The casual way she'd dismissed my career. Like it was obvious I'd settled for less. Like I should have known better than to expect respect. How long had she actually felt that way? The next morning I woke up before her, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table with my laptop while the house was still quiet. Something was bugging me. Gut feeling, whatever you want to call it. It was telling me to start digging. I opened our joint checking account and started scrolling through 6 months of transactions. Everything looked normal at first. Grocery stores, utility bills, gas stations. Then I noticed a pattern. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, there was a $50 charge from the Riverside Inn, parking fee. The Riverside Inn was that upscale hotel downtown. The kind of place people go for meetings they don't want anyone knowing about. My stomach dropped. Then I pulled up Danielle's calendar on our shared family account. Every Tuesday and Thursday she had blocked off from noon to 3. Yoga class with Denise. Thing is, I'd never actually seen her do yoga. Never seen a mat or workout clothes or anything suggesting she was taking classes twice a week. I kept digging. Found charges at restaurants I'd never heard of. A boutique hotel across town. Gift purchases from men's stores. Expensive cologne. Designer watches. Stuff I'd never received. The more I scolded, the more I started feeling sick. But what really got me were the charges on my business credit card. The one I used for plumbing supplies and work expenses only. Someone had been using it for personal purchases. High-end boutiques, jewelry stores, spa treatments. I pulled up my business checking account, found check images that made my stomach drop. Checks written to vendor names I'd never heard of. J. Morgan Consulting, Summit Property Services. Amounts ranging from $500 to $2,000. My signature on everyone, except I'd never signed them. The handwriting was close, but not quite right. 14 forged checks over 6 months. Just over $22,000. Then I found the business credit card statements. A supplementary card I'd never authorized. In Danielle's name. Another $18,000 in personal charges over the same period. $40,000. Every cent documented. Every transaction tracked. The pattern lined up perfectly. Forged check processed early in the week. Hotel charges on Tuesday and Thursday. Unauthorized card purchases scattered throughout. Every single week for half a year. I sat back and stared at the screen. She wasn't taking yoga classes. She was meeting someone. And she'd been draining my business dry while doing it. The question wasn't whether she was cheating anymore. The question was who. I texted Ray. Needed a favor. He showed up exactly 60 minutes later, let himself in through the back door, and found me in my workshop. I showed him the bank statements on my phone. Scrolled through the forged checks. Let him see each one. Watched his face get dark. 40 grand total. Forged business checks. Unauthorized credit card. His temper started showing. Asked if I wanted him to follow her. I told him no. What I needed was security cameras. If she asked, they were for the neighborhood watch. Johnson's car got broken into last week. Made perfect sense. He recognized that look on my face. Knew I had something cooking. I laid it out. I needed to see what was happening when I wasn't here. He asked what I needed from him. Just to be ready. When this went down, I needed someone in my corner who wouldn't try to talk me out of what needed to happen. After he left, I made a list. Camera equipment. Cloud storage for the footage. Backup drives. I needed backups for my backups. Needed to make sure nothing could be deleted or lost. I drove 2 towns over to a surveillance supply store. Paid cash for 3 top-tier cameras with wireless connectivity and cloud backup. $6,300 for the whole setup. Back home, I spent the afternoon installing them. Front door camera went up first, mounted high under the eave where it could catch faces and license plates. Living room camera I tucked into a decorative bookshelf behind old photo albums nobody ever looked at. Hallway camera replaced our existing smoke detector. Same model, same plastic housing, but with a high-def lens hidden in the center. By the time Danielle got home from work, the system was running perfectly. She asked about the camera out front. I told her neighborhood watch thing, security. She bought it, went about making dinner like nothing was different. That night at dinner, Monica complained about needing a new laptop. Some $1,500 MacBook all her friends supposedly had. Danielle immediately agreed, looked at me expectantly like this was already decided. I told her I'd think about it. She frowned, asked what there was to think about. I repeated myself. Monica rolled her eyes with that same contempt I was getting used to. Said she'd just use her birthday money. I told her good idea. After dinner, I went to my workshop and pulled up the camera feeds. Tested the playback feature. I set up alerts for motion detection. Anytime someone entered the house, my phone would ping. Cloud backup was automatic. The trap was set. Now I just had to wait. Tuesday morning, I told Danielle I had a big job across town. Commercial bathroom renovation at an office building. Could take all day. She said okay, mentioned she had yoga anyway. I kissed her goodbye. Went through all the motions. Then I drove to the job site. Spent an hour roughing in pipes for the new bathroom layout. Took photos of the progress from my records. Sent an update email to the client. Called my supply guy to order materials for next week. Normal workday. Normal routine. Around noon, my phone buzzed. Motion detected at front door. I pulled out my phone and opened the camera app. Watched the feed with my heart going a mile a minute. A black Audi pulled into my driveway. Not Danielle's silver Honda. A black Audi I knew real well. Peter's car. My best friend stepped out. Looked around the neighborhood like it was no big deal. Walked up to my front door like he'd done 100 times before for Friday night card games or weekend barbecues. Except this time, he pulled out a key from his pocket. My spare key. The one I'd given him 3 years ago when we went on vacation and asked him to water the plants. He let himself into my house. I sat in my truck watching the feed. Gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Felt the anger building up in my chest. Peter, my best friend for over 20 years. The guy who'd been in my wedding. Who came over for card games every month. Who brought his wife Zoe over for couple dinners. Peter, who apparently had a key to my house and was using it whenever I was at work. I watched him walk through my living room, make himself comfortable on my couch, like he'd done it 100 times before. 20 minutes later, Danielle's car pulled in. She walked through the front door and Peter stood up. They didn't even wait, just went straight at each other right there in my living room. I watched for about 30 seconds. Then I turned off the phone and sat there feeling absolutely numb. This was my wife and my best friend stabbing me in the back together, and they'd been doing it in my own house while I paid for everything. I called Ray. He answered on the second ring. Peter's been sleeping with Danielle in my house. Silence. Then I heard him take a breath. You sure about that? I'm watching it on camera right now. Where are you? Sitting in my truck at a job site. Stay there. I'm coming to you. No, I'm handling this. Like heck you are. I'm 10 minutes away. Ray, listen to me. I need you thinking straight. Not showing up here ready to put someone in the hospital. Another pause. I could hear him pacing. That's what he did when his temper started building. Walked in circles. Just tell me what you need. I need you to not do anything. Not yet. I'm going to handle this the legal way, but I need to know you've got my back. You know I do. Good. I'll call you tonight. I hung up before he could argue. Started the engine. First stop was a locksmith 3 blocks away. I had to rekey the house. No more free access for anyone. Then I drove to my lawyer's office. Colin's office was downtown in one of those older buildings. I'd used him for business contracts when I bought my first work truck, Then again when I set up the LLC. He was the one who insisted on the prenup 18 years ago. Best advice I'd ever gotten. I walked in without an appointment. His receptionist tried to stop me, but Colin saw me through the glass and waved me in. I pulled up my phone before I even sat down. Bank statements first. Showed him the forged check images with the fake vendor names. Then, the unauthorized business credit card in Danielle's name. Then I played the camera footage. Peter walking into my house with a key. Everything lined up perfect. Colin took notes on a yellow legal pad. Old school lawyer stuff. When the last video clip finished, he set down his pen and gave me the rundown. The prenup was rock solid. Everything I'd earned before marriage stayed mine. The house, the business, my retirement accounts, all protected. She'd signed it after her own lawyer reviewed it. No court was going to throw that out. The stolen money was even simpler. Forgery, fraud, unauthorized use of business credit. These were crimes with clear paper trails. Civil suit would be easy. She'd have to repay every cent plus damages and legal fees. The divorce itself? 3 months tops if she didn't fight. If she did fight, she'd just rack up legal bills before losing anyway. I asked about options for Peter. Colin leaned back in his chair, thinking. Mentioned we could potentially file a civil claim for aiding the fraud. Peter benefited from the stolen money even if indirectly. Dinners, hotels, gifts. Not a slam dunk, but worth going after given what I had documented. Do it, I said. Whatever makes him hurt. We spent the next hour mapping out the plan. By the time I left, I had a clear roadmap. File for divorce Monday. Serve her that same day. File the civil suit Wednesday. Let her lawyer scramble to respond. My next stop was across town. Zoe worked as a manager at a cafe near the university. Small place, local roasters. Quiet enough for a private conversation. I found her in the back office working on inventory spreadsheets. When I told her I needed to talk about Peter, her whole body tensed up. I showed her the footage on my phone. She watched without saying a word. Just sat there taking it in while I gave her the timeline. 6 months minimum. Probably longer. Her Tuesday mornings. His Wednesday warehouse inventory. All lies. She asked why I was telling her. I explained she deserved the same heads up I'd want if I was in her shoes. Also mentioned I was going after both of them legally. Wanted her ready for what was coming. Zoe nodded. Thanked me for the warning. Said she'd handle her end. I left her sitting there with her laptop. That evening I went home and started organizing. Created a folder on my desktop labeled Evidence. I backed everything up to 3 separate drives. One in my workshop, one in my truck, one in a safe deposit box I opened at the bank the next morning. Ray came by while I was working, brought pizza and sat in my workshop while I walked him through the legal game plan. Showed him Colin's timeline. He asked what I needed from him. I told him the same thing I'd said before. Just be ready. When Danielle started calling family members trying to spin this her way, I needed people who knew the truth. He gripped my shoulder, said he had my back. Then he asked about Peter specifically. Wanted to know if there was anything he could do to make Peter's life miserable. I told him no. We were doing this clean. Nothing that could be used against me in court. Ray didn't like it, but he nodded. Said when everything was legal and finished, then we'd have another conversation. Fair enough. The next few days I focused on getting things in order. Changed all my online banking passwords. Updated my business insurance. Made sure Danielle's name wasn't on any accounts she shouldn't have access to. Called my accountant and gave him a heads up about the divorce coming. Wanted to make sure my business taxes were airtight for when Danielle's lawyer started poking around. I worked normal job sites during the day. Normal schedule. Gave no sign anything was different. At night I reviewed evidence and made sure every detail was locked down. Wednesday morning I woke at 5, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table with my laptop while Danielle slept upstairs. Opened our banking and started making changes. First, I removed her as an authorized user on every credit card linked to my accounts. 3 cards total. All canceled with 3 quick clicks. Then I rerouted my business income away from the joint account and into my personal business account. Set up alerts on the joint account so I'd know if she tried any big withdrawals. Left enough in there for bills and groceries, nothing more. Finally, I changed all my passwords. Banking, email, cloud storage, everything. By the time Danielle came downstairs at 7, I'd financially cut her off without her even realizing it yet. She left for work. Mentioned meeting Denise for lunch at that new Thai place downtown. I smiled and told her it sounded good. She left at 8. Monica left for school at 8:30. I waited until 9, then called into my main client and told them I needed the day for personal business. Then I drove to Peter's plumbing supply company. He owned a small wholesale business. We'd actually helped each other out over the years. I sent him clients. He gave me contractor discounts. Real friendship stuff, or so I'd thought. His secretary greeted me when I walked in. I told her I was actually there to talk to Zoe. She mentioned Zoe usually came in after lunch. Told her to let Zoe know I'd stopped by. Needed to discuss something about the neighborhood association. Left before Peter could spot me. That evening, Danielle tried to use her credit card at the grocery store. It declined. She called me right away, voice sharp with irritation. I told her the bank flagged some suspicious charges. Had to cancel all the cards while they investigated. She asked what kind of charges. I said unauthorized purchases. Could be fraud. They're looking into it. She wanted to know how long this would take. I said could be weeks. These things take time. Long pause. I could hear other shoppers in the background. Could picture her standing in the checkout line with a cart full of groceries and no way to pay. I told her I'd give her cash for essentials until this got sorted out. She said that was ridiculous. Said she wasn't going to live on a cash allowance like a child. I told her she could always use her own money. That personal account she has. Dead silence. She hadn't expected me to know about that. She started stammering something about that being for emergencies. I said, well, sounds like an emergency to me. She hung up without saying goodbye. The next day, Monica tried to gas up her car. Card declined. Tried to buy lunch at the campus food court. Declined again. By 3 p.m., my phone was blowing up with her texts demanding I fix this. I didn't respond to any of them. Let her sit with the embarrassment. Let her feel what it was like when the money stopped flowing. Thursday morning, Monica came storming into the kitchen waving her phone, demanded to know what was going on. I told her bank investigation. Her mom knew about it. She said this was unacceptable. She had things she needed to buy. I told her to get a job. Lots of kids her age work. She stared at me like I just told her to jump off a bridge. I took a sip of coffee. Mentioned I seemed to remember someone at dinner saying they didn't want to end up like me. Maybe this was a good chance to learn about financial independence. Her face went red. Danielle appeared asking what was going on. I told them both we'd already talked about this. Bank investigation. Everyone's dealing with it. Then I headed out. By Friday, the panic had fully set in. Danielle called me 3 times during work. Monica texted demanding answers. I ignored them. What I didn't know until later, Danielle had spent Friday afternoon at the bank trying to access that secret account. The teller told her there was a hold on it pending fraud investigation. 7 to 10 business days to sort out. No withdrawals allowed. She'd also tried calling Peter 4 times. He never answered. His secretary said he was out of the office. Unavailable. Zoe had clearly gotten to him first. So, when I came home that night, Danielle was stuck with no credit cards, no access to her hidden money, and her backup plan suddenly not answering his phone. That night, I came home to find both of them waiting in the living room. Ambush formation. Danielle opened with accusations of financial abuse. I almost laughed. Told her that was rich coming from someone who stole $40,000 from my business. The room went dead silent. Danielle's face went white. Monica looked confused. Danielle tried to deny it, choosing her words carefully. I laid out exactly what I knew. The forged business checks. The unauthorized credit card in her name. The gifts she'd been buying for someone who definitely wasn't me. Monica asked what $40,000. I told her to ask her mother what she'd been doing every Tuesday and Thursday while she was supposedly at yoga. Danielle's face went from white to red. She told me to get out. I reminded her this was my house. She could get out. She brought up marriage. Rights. I smiled. Reminded her about that prenup she signed. The one she complained about for months. I pulled the divorce papers from my briefcase and dropped them on the coffee table. Told her she was being served Monday morning. She had until then to figure out where she was going. Because after Monday, this house was mine. Just like it was before we got married. Monica started crying. Begged me not to do this. I told her I could, and I was. Her mother made her choices. Now she got to live with them. I walked upstairs to my workshop, locked the door, and pulled up the camera feeds. Watched them deal with reality while I didn't react. Monday morning, the process server showed up at 7. Danielle answered the door in her bathrobe. Took the envelope with shaking hands. I was already at my first job site when she called. Let it ring through. She called again and again. By the 4th call, I answered. She tried to sound reasonable. Martin, this is crazy. Honey, please, let's talk. We can work through this. There's nothing to work through, I told her. But it's one mistake. Come on. Are you really gonna throw away 18 years over one? Shut up, Danielle. I cut her off. That's what you're calling 6 months of sleeping with my friend in my own house while using my money to pay for it? One mistake? But it wasn't for 6 months. It was just I know exactly how long this has been going on. She started crying. Then she brought up Monica. Are you really going to destroy her life too? Your own daughter? Monica destroyed whatever relationship we had at that dinner. I'm done dealing with disrespect. She's your daughter, and I am her father. Silence. She's 19 years old. If she can't show basic respect, then there's no need for me funding her lifestyle. People her age work and pay for their own shit. She should start doing that. She asked if we could meet and talk. I told her to talk to my lawyer. Hung up and blocked her number. Ray called 10 minutes later. Said Zoe just walked out on Peter. Took everything she could carry and went to her sister's place. Fast mover, I said. He said she was filing for divorce. Her lawyer was already drawing up papers. Then he told me the best part. Peter's business was in Zoe's name. Tax purposes. He was about to lose everything. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, I said. The next few days were a blur of lawyer meetings and paperwork. Colin filed the civil suit for the stolen money. Danielle tried everything. Called from different numbers. Showed up at job sites. Sent Monica to talk to me. I stonewalled all of it. The job site ambush happened Wednesday afternoon. I was working when I saw Danielle's Honda in the parking structure. She waited by my truck. Watched me load tools. Started talking before I could get the door open. Said she wanted to explain. Said I didn't understand. Peter meant nothing. It was a mistake. She'd end it. We could fix this. I kept loading tools. Didn't look at her. Didn't say anything. She grabbed my arm. I stopped. looked at where her hand was touching me. She let go. I told her nothing she said mattered anymore. She started crying. Said she was going to lose everything. Where were they supposed to go? How were they supposed to survive? I reminded her she had that secret account, the one with my stolen money. Maybe she should have thought about survival before committing fraud. Got in my truck. She stood there crying while I drove away. Thursday afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. Peter's voice. Strained. Desperate. Begged me not to hang up. I hung up right away. By Friday, everything had finally hit them both. Peter's wife had filed for divorce and was going after the business. Danielle was facing a civil suit for 40 grand plus legal fees. I sat in Colin's office planning the next phase. He confirmed the prenup was holding up perfectly. She couldn't touch the house. Couldn't touch my business. Couldn't touch any assets I had before the marriage. Joint assets? The car in her name, she kept. Joint savings account got split 50-50. Everything else was mine. As for Monica, she was 19, legally an adult. The court wouldn't force me to pay for college. That was entirely my call. I told Colin I wasn't paying a cent. She made it clear she thought I was beneath her. Time for her to learn what life was like without my money. The divorce proceedings moved like clockwork. Danielle's lawyer tried challenging the prenup on grounds of duress. Claimed she'd been pressured into signing. Colin tore that argument apart in under 10 minutes. Produced emails where Danielle's own attorney confirmed he'd reviewed every clause with her. Showed the court she'd had 3 weeks to consider it before signing. The judge barely looked up from the paperwork before shooting it down. The civil suit was even more straightforward. Danielle's lawyer tried the marital property angle. Argued she had a right to access joint funds. Colin walked the judge through each forged check. Pointed out the fake vendor names. Showed the unauthorized business credit card she'd opened without my knowledge or consent. Laid out the timeline of theft alongside hotel charges and gift purchases. The judge ordered full restitution plus interest and legal fees. 90 days to pay. I sat in the back of the courtroom, watching Danielle's face crumble. Monica sat beside her mother, crying into her hands. After the hearing, Colin and I went over the final asset division in the courthouse hallway. She got her Honda and half of the joint savings account. Came out to maybe 8 grand. Everything else stayed mine. 3 months of legal stuff to take apart 18 years of marriage. The paperwork was already filed. I'd be officially single by the end of the week. I walked out into the parking lot where Ray was waiting. He read my face and knew. We drove to a diner near the industrial district, ordered burgers we barely touched, and sat there without saying much. Ray eventually said what I'd already been thinking. Danielle would try coming back once reality really sank in. Once she was struggling to make rent and pay off that judgment. I told him it wasn't going to work. That door was welded shut. He was right about the timing. Took exactly 14 days. I found the letter in my mailbox 2 weeks after the divorce was final. Handwritten on nice stationery. No return address. She must have had someone else mail it to avoid the postmark showing where she was living now. I read it standing at my kitchen counter. Apologies, regret, promises to change. How she still loved me. How we could rebuild if I'd just give her a chance. I ripped it into pieces and tossed it in the fireplace. Watched it burn while I finished my coffee. Monica tried a more direct approach. Showed up at a commercial job site where I was running new pipes for a restaurant renovation. I saw her car in the parking lot and ignored it. Kept working. She called out from across the work area. Wanted to talk. I told her no. She started with apologies. The dinner. The things she said, covering for her mom. Said she was wrong about everything. I stayed focused on the pipe fitting I was torquing down. Then she got to what she actually wanted. Money. University funding. Said community college wasn't cutting it. Promised to pay me back after graduation. Still refused. She kept pushing. I spelled it out for her. She'd known about the affair. Yes, I found out she knew about it the whole time. Helped cover it up. Insulted my work in front of my family. Treated me like garbage while I paid for her entire life. Those weren't accidents. Those were choices. Monica, I spent 19 years raising you. Gave you everything you wanted. And you thanked me by calling my work worthless. Your mom thanked me by sleeping with my best friend. You both made your choices. Now you get to live with them. I packed up my tools without responding. She was still standing there when I drove off. 3 months later, I sold the house. Couldn't be in that space anymore. Every room reminded me of the lie I'd been living. Put it on the market on a Tuesday. Had 3 offers by Friday. Sold it for 15 grand over asking to a young couple with a baby on the way. Closed in 30 days. Found a downtown apartment instead. Modern building, 2 bedrooms, big windows with city views. Top floor unit. Dedicated parking spot in the garage. The rent was easy. Signed a 2-year lease and moved in. I started taking on bigger commercial contracts. Office buildings. Hotel renovations. A medical center that needed a complete plumbing overhaul. The kind of work that required proper licensing and insurance. And brought in real money. Set up a proper scheduling system. Got business cards printed. Built a website. Started bidding on municipal contracts. One night while I was going through project bids at my dining room table, my phone buzzed with a text from Colin. Short message. Peter had filed for bankruptcy. Zoe's divorce attorney had gone for blood. Took the business, the house, set up child support that ate most of his remaining income. He was working as an hourly employee now at the company he used to own. I showed the text to Ray when he stopped by with takeout. He read it and grinned. Said it was beautiful. Yeah, I said. It really is. We ate without talking for a while. Ray was the only person who'd been there through the whole thing. The only one who knew every move I'd made. Peter's been trying to reach out to people, mutual friends, asking if anyone's heard from you. What did you tell them? That you're done with him. Anyone who wants to stay friends with both of us needs to pick a side. And nobody picked him. Every single person went with you. He's got nothing left but his own regrets. 3 months after the divorce was done, Zoe called. We'd stayed in touch here and there. 2 people who got burned by the same 2 people tend to look out for each other. She mentioned Peter had been trying to get hold of her, wanted to make up, said he made a terrible mistake. She said he should contact his lawyer if he had questions about the divorce settlement. Otherwise, leave her alone. Smart, I said. Then she mentioned he'd asked about me too. Wanted to know if I'd be willing to meet with him. Said he wanted to apologize, make amends. Apparently, he was in some 12-step program now. I actually laughed. Told her he was using a recovery program to worm his way back into people's lives. She asked if I was interested. I told her actually, yeah, I was. Tell him I'd meet with him. Next Tuesday. That coffee shop on Hamilton Street. Noon. The truth was I didn't need closure. Didn't need to hear him say sorry. But I wanted him to see I was doing better than ever. And part of me just wanted to see him squirm. Tuesday morning I took my time getting ready. Put on newer work clothes. Company polo with my business logo. Drove the new truck I'd bought 2 months before, F-250, with all the bells and whistles and my company name on the door panel. I got to the coffee shop 15 minutes early. Got a corner table with a clear view of the door. Ordered black coffee and waited. Watched people come and go. At exactly noon, Peter's car pulled up. Not the Audi anymore. That was Zoe's now. He drove a beat-up Honda Civic with a dent in the passenger door. Parked way in the back of the lot like he was embarrassed. He sat in the car for a full minute before getting out. Probably working up the nerve. Or practicing whatever he was gonna say. When he finally walked in, I barely recognized him. He'd dropped at least 30 pounds. Probably from stress, not from the gym. His clothes hung loose. Hair needed cutting. Dark circles under his eyes. This wasn't the confident, put-together Peter I'd known for over 20 years. This was someone who'd lost everything and was scrambling to save something from the wreckage. He saw me and walked over slowly. Thanked me for meeting him. I didn't say anything. Just pointed at the empty chair. He sat down, ordered coffee, stared at his hands for a long time before he started talking. Then he went into it. Said he knew I probably hated him. He deserved it. What he did was inexcusable. He'd been working on himself, trying to figure out why he did what he did. He owed me a real apology. I waited. Let the silence hang. He kept going. Said he threw away over 20 years of friendship. Helped wreck my marriage. He was truly sorry. More silence from me. He said he knew there was probably nothing he could say to make it right, but he was trying to be better. I asked if he was finished. Then I put down my coffee cup. Looked him right in the eyes. You want forgiveness? Go talk to a priest. You're talking to the wrong guy. His hands were shaking. Said he was trying to make things right. You lost your wife, your business, your house. You're working hourly at a company you used to own, living with your brother. That's accountability. I stood up, dropped a 20 on the table. Don't expect me to forgive you. I just want you to live with the fact that you blew up a 20-year friendship for 6 months with a woman who didn't even want you enough to leave me for you. He looked up at me, tears running down his face. Man, I can't live like this. I don't owe you a shoulder to cry on, Peter. I don't owe you a dang thing. You made your bed, now lie in it. I headed for the door, got in my truck and drove away. Never heard from him again. Some friends ask me sometimes if I regret it, especially cutting my daughter off. The answer is no. You don't have to waste your time, your energy, and your money on the people who treat you like dirt. I'm good.